We've tried Miss Pig. We've run out of mothers. We don't have another mother for you.
I want another mother.
There's not another mother.
I want another kiss, Mother.
Miss Piggy, give her a kiss. Said she wanted another kiss.
I think she's looking for you.
Give her a kiss. Thank you, Miss Piggy. Okay, dear. Night, dear.
I want another mother.
You want another what, dear?
Another kiss, Mother.
Well, I don't have my mother here tonight. She's down in North Carolina. But I have another mother here, my mother-in-law, from right here in Knott County, Miss Florida Slone. And I'd like to get her to come up and maybe talk a little bit about some of her kids, and she can really, she's written a lot of songs, and I think she might share one with us this evening. So Florida Slone.
Well, I was born here in Knott County and raised a big family. You know, I had 6 children, only 9 years between all 6 of them. And, you know, raising them all up, I felt more like a possum, you know, when they're raising their families. But really, as I look back on life, it's the best years that I've ever had here in this world. I just thank God for all my children tonight and my family. So I made the song about my children. Today all my children, they're grown up and grown. They seek in this world to live a life of their own. In my memories I visit them each day. I can see their families as they all gather around. I can see all their little children as they all run and play. Thank God for the memories God didn't take away. If I'd have known back then what I know today, I'd raise my children better in many a way. But it's all in the past now, here's all I can say. Thank God for the memories God didn't take away. One by one, I watched my children grow up. One by one, they went away. Till my home is so empty today. But I smile and say, Lord, I'll try to make a new start. Yes, they're not gone from me. They'll always be in my heart. Then I'd gladly say, thank God for the memories God didn't take away.
Joe Carson comes from Johnson City, and I'm really glad she's here. She's going to read some from a new play that she's writing, and she'll tell you about what that's all about.
I am not so fortunate with my mother. My mother is a victim of Alzheimer's. She's about 8 years into it at this point. My dad and I are the carekeepers. Her mother, my grandmother, is still alive. Up until the last month or so, she was still by herself. She is way on into her 90s, and she's not sure how far into her 90s, and so nobody tries to tell her, you see. The play I'm working on is called Day Trips, and for years and years, on Saturday, my mother spent Saturday in Kingsport with my grandmother, taking her around to the grocery store, to the doctor, to wherever she needed to go. after my grandfather died. And then it now falls to my father and me, and the days when I am there are usually the days when my father can take for himself, so my father is not in this piece. There are 4 people in this piece. I am going to read 3 of them. I am going to read myself, my mother, Ree, but she's also Murray when she does not have the Alzheimer's, and I am going to read the old woman, Ella. And I have asked my friend Cindy Lutenbacher, who traveled up here with me today, to do the role of the narrator, just so maybe it will be a little less confusing in this whole thing. We're going to read a little from the first section, and then we're going to skip mightily way over to page 41. So bear with us some here, and we'll see how it goes. This is Joe and Ree as it opens. Hey, buddy, here's your jacket. Am I going home, Juanita? You are home. Well, my mother lives at home. Now, you live with your husband, remember old Pierce? Well, I know Pierce. I married him, and there's a man here who says he's Pierce, but he isn't. He's one of the Carson boys, but he's not the one I married. It's David that don't start on David. Well, Pierce does whatever David said, and David told him not to let me have another dog. We have to put your jacket on, buddy. David told him not to let me drive, and Pierce won't let me drive, and I can drive. Oh, Juanita, you don't know what it's like not to have a car. And David said I couldn't have a dog, and David calls Pierce, and Pierce just goes whenever David wants him to. Ree, your jacket. Oh. Okay, other arm. Juanita, you gotta help me with my money. Your arm, buddy. Pierce takes it. Pierce does not take your money. And he spends it on David, and they play golf, and they won't take me home. Are you gonna take me home? Bend your arm. Good. We're going to see your mother. My mother in Kingsport. My job is to take care of my mother, and Pierce won't let me drive.
This is Ree. She used to be Marie. Marie was my mother.
I don't have children.
She has Alzheimer's now.
My brain is turning into jelly.
That's her joke.
Great.
This is my grandmother, Ella.
She's my mother. I take care of her. Reckon why neither of us ever married.
Her mother was Josephine. I am named after Josephine. I am called Joe.
Now you are Inez. I know Inez. Grandmother Inez is dead. This is Juanita. It is not.
There is a real Juanita. Ree confuses me with her because she happens to remember Juanita now. Tomorrow or the next day I will be somebody else.
What was she like, Grandmother? Who? Your mother? Oh, she was a mule. All she knew to do was work.
Old age has fragile flesh that makes it hard to pull on shoes or unlock doors or stand up from sitting or bend over. Old age hurts in the joints of bones. Old age cannot see except at a certain distance.
You light matches to plug the heater in? Well, you have to be so careful of the juice.
Old age cannot or will not hear.
What?
Old age lives on the edge of confusion.
Juanita, what'd you say? Now, Mother, this is Joe. You mean Inez, what does she want? I said, old age is confusing. Your times are coming. Old age is a prophet. And part of the prophecy, you see, it said my grandmother sees a ghost, and the ghost is in the play too. And the ghost is her daughter who died the year I was born. You ready?
There was a real Inez. I never knew her, unless it's true that you lose one in this world to get one, and we are somehow the same. She was Ella's oldest daughter. She died the year I was born.
She was the prettiest girl you ever saw.
I have seen pictures. Inez never smiled in them. My mother was always smiling. My mother was the beauty of the two.
Well, your mother was all right, but Inez was pretty.
Inez died of pneumonia for lack of penicillin. It was a product of World War II and available for people in service, but not for private citizens when Inez died.
I begged the Lord not to take her.
Inez was married, but she did not have children. I suspect she didn't want them. Inez did not tolerate disorder.
Well, Inez cared about things like I do. Now, Marie took after her daddy. I give Marie Inez's sofa, and she didn't have no furniture in that house they bought in Johnson City, and she used it. She put it in her living room, and she didn't care who sat on it or what they had on the seat of their pants. No, Mother, it was just furniture. It was Inez's. Well, you gave it to me, and I'm using it. Well, I want it back if you ain't got no more respect for the dead than that. It is hard enough to take care of the living, Mother. Inez wouldn't have said that to me. Inez never had the occasion.
Inez kept sheets on her furniture except when company came. Inez would take apart store-bought dresses and re-sew them by hand because she did a better job than machines. I have a comforter quilted with roses that Inez sewed. I do not use it for fear of doing it damage.
You know I love you best. You're the new Inez. Now, don't tell your brother and don't tell Marie either.
She took me through her house and pointed out things, furniture, china, jewelry, clothes that had been Inez's. She told me about Inez, how she loved these things and how careful she was with them. She said Inez's things would be mine when I was old enough to take care of them. I felt rich in furniture, but I was not allowed to sit on Inez's chairs. I never had a bite from a plate that was Inez's. I wanted to want the furniture because I wanted to be as important as Inez. But Inez of her memory was not a child, and I was. I asked if I could share with my brother and not be the new Inez.
That time I told you I loved you best, I just said that to make you sit still. Marie was sick, and Inez died. Now, I expected Marie to die. I could have understood it if it had been Marie. She was so sickly when she was little, and she had that heart. I wished it had been Marie. You know what Marie done? She took that sofa and had it reupholstered, good as new. Well, it wasn't Inez's sofa anymore, and she brought it back over here and had them movers plop it down in my living room, and yonder it sits, and I don't care who sits on it. If it was Inez's, I'd care. It got Maried, and then when Lloyd died, I got Maried. I don't know why I've had to live so long. I wish I could have died the day before Inez. She wished it had been me that died. She told me it was one of the Saturdays. We finished her chores as though nothing had happened, and I cried going home. I said the things I wanted to say to her. You are a mean woman. I wish you had died instead of Daddy. You better be glad it's me and not Inez that's alive. Inez wouldn't have put up with this. I was halfway home, and I turned around to go back and say them to her. I drove in our driveway. I left the car running, and I banged on the door. You forget something? I forgot to tell you that I love you. And you drove back here to say that? No, I didn't. I got back in my car and drove away, and we never mentioned it. I remember things she's forgotten about Inez, how hard she was, how stubborn, how like her mother, and how hard they were on one another. And who will take care of her if I don't?
Reese speaks to Inez's sofa.
Oh, I know I'm so silly, and Juanita just says anything. Hey, somebody took the skin off, and I don't know where it is, but it's the nicest thing you can do for yourself, makes people like you. I know what I'm talking about. And you came and washed my hair, and where?
Ree loses words and stands wringing her hands instead.
What do you study about? Me? What are you studying? Studying? Well, you just stand there and study. What about? Me? What's wrong with me?
Ella speaks to the ghost of Inez.
Well, Lord, you are a sight for sore eyes. This mean you come to live with me? I asked the Lord to send you. Well, you hard of hearing? I am. Well, sit down, why don't you? I said you want to sit down? Well, you ain't what I asked the Lord for if you don't sit down. You plan to stand there till I die? Well, I've been waiting a right smart time myself. Ain't no telling how long you're gonna have to wait. Get in there and get you a bite of jelly. I made it. It ain't good, but you could taste it. You gonna get you a bite of jelly? I have a gun, you know that, don't you? Well, if you ain't gonna talk to me, you might as well get in your car and go home. How do you get in here at night? And Joe says, I'm not here at night. Why do you talk to me now? I talk when I'm here, Grandmother. You want a bite of my jelly? No, I don't. Inez, how do you get in? Look, you got 50%, I'm sitting down, I'm talking, but I don't get in at night, and I'm not Inez. Well, why you got on Inez's ring if you're not Inez? Inez died, Grandmother, you gave it to me. I did not. She comes over here every evening, just about when I'm fixing to go to bed, and I don't know how she gets in because she don't have a key, and she wears dresses of an evening. She don't wear anything but old pants during the day, and I hate it because I don't think she stays the night, and she don't ever put a car in the driveway at night like she does during the day. I don't know where she leaves it. Inez, where do you put your car? Inez? Grandmother, I'm Joe. Joe's here of a night like she ought to be. I know Joe. Oh, do you? I know you too, Inez.
Ella speaks to the ghost of Inez.
Well, it's about time. You want a cookie? I got some of that old stick candy your mother brings me. Somebody's got to eat it. You want a ham sandwich? Well, I ain't got that. You want to look at the jewelry you used to like to? What do you come here for if you won't eat nothing? You could wash them dishes. Well, you could get you a mess of beans. I ain't gonna eat them. You want a mess of beans? You want $5? Well, I'll see you get $5. You're gonna get everything I got. Inez? Joe. And this is we. Juanita, Viola, Inez, I don't care who you think you are. I know who you are if you don't. Inez is dead, Mother. She is not. You want Juanita. Juanita's dead. Juanita drove. Who are you? Marie. Marie's dead. She's not. Everybody but me, and I still don't get to die. It's my punishment for wanting too much.
Joe speaks to the ghost of Inez.
Inez, this is the new Inez. And you've turned into Joe. You know why, don't you? She thought I should come and live with her, and you seem to have done it. I know she's deluded. Jesus, she hits at little Willie Brown things with a broom, but you don't eat, you won't sit, you never speak, but you don't chase her. And she's glad to see you. And you've been here every night for, what, 2 years now? Inez, could I know sometime?
There is a second dream.
We are in bed together. It is part of how I know it is a dream. We would never be in bed together. Being in the same car is hard enough, but there we are. They are asleep. I am not asleep. I can't sleep. I know why I'm in bed with them, and I know what I'm going to do. I am in the middle, and I got into the middle, and there is no room in the middle, and it is too warm, as I knew it would be. And I have gotten in bed because I plan to murder them, and I do it. I take my pillow, and I lay it over Ella, and I rest myself on top of it, and Reese sees me. She wakes up. All she would have to do is say stop. I would stop. I would be glad to stop. I would like to stop. I would like for her to be my mother. She should say what I'm doing is wrong, that I deserve to be punished, and she should send me out into the night to hunt my own switches. But she doesn't. We smile at one another, and she lies back down and pretends to sleep herself, and I move my pillow and I rest on top of Ree. I was invited. When it is done, I sit in the bed in the half-dark of city nights, of bedrooms when someone is confused or ill and the bathroom light stays on, the half-dark of dreams, and I hold their hands and I cry because I love them, and they're gone.